Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. Tonight we're joined by United States Marine veteran, a hip-hop artist, Raymond Lott, or as you probably know him better, the Marine rapper. Raymond, welcome to The Right View. Thank you for joining us. I want to start by asking you about your military service. You are currently a rapper and a lot of other things which we're going to talk about, but tell me about your military service and why you ultimately decided to join the Marine Corps.
So basically I grew up as a military brat, moving all around the country and stuff like that, because my dad was a Marine as well.
Okay.
But then when my parents split up, I ended up living in California down there in San Diego. So I was surrounded by Marines because the specific city was Oceanside, California. It's right by Camp Pendleton, right by Marines. And all I saw was Marines all the time. So I kind of got like turned off to Marines in the military, like growing up, because I was just like, oh man, these Marines are just, you know, out in town and drinking and stuff like that. But that wasn't the full Marine Corps. That was just, you know, the party animals who were out in town, because the good ones you don't really see. They're doing what they're supposed to on base and stuff like that. So that was my impression at first of the Marines. And then as I started to grow up, and then I went to college. I got my degree in drafting. I got associates in drafting at first. And so I went to go get a job and they said I was overqualified. And I just got frustrated. Yeah, I was like, what? I'm like, right out of college. You said I'm overqualified. And then so I got so frustrated. And then, you know, 9/11 had happened just a couple years earlier. And then I was just like, you know what? Like, I want to do something that's going to be meaningful and I want to do something that's going to be meaningful and purposeful and actually add to my worth. And if I want to join the military, I have to go all the way. And so I chose to join the Marine Corps, and that's what happened. That's the Marine Corps.
And how long did you serve?
I served for 10 years.
So cool. And what was your dad's reaction? Was he surprised because you had kind of been turned off by the Marines while you were growing up, or was he? I imagine he's very proud of you.
Yeah, he's very proud because it's kind of like a legacy. Obviously, you don't want to worry about your kid overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan for deployments and things like that. But it's kind of like he was like looking at me like, man, you're just like me. Even though, you know, my parents split up, he was just like, man, you're just like me. How'd you end up in the same place that I did when I was younger? But, you know, instead of going overseas to Japan, I went to Iraq and Afghanistan. So he definitely very proud of me. He brags to his friends all the time to this day, whether it's Marine Corps service or music.
I'm sure he does. Well, a side note, I have many members of the military in my family. My cousin Steven served in the Marine Corps. My Uncle Bob served in the Marine Corps. And I grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is just south of Camp Lejeune. And I know what you mean. We had at my parents' house in the summer, like on the weekends, it was just packed with Marines all over our house, because my cousin Steven would always bring his friends down to like hang out at our house. An amazing group of people. They all also ended up going and serving over in Iraq and Afghanistan like you did. So I have a very large appreciation for the Marine Corps. I also have cousins that are Army, so I'm not going to say Semper Fi as my only thing, but I'm going to give a little shout out there. But tell me about when you were serving, because you kind of became like a war reporter. You detailed the service of infantrymen with your camera. Tell me a little bit about that, because that sounds like a very interesting part of service as well.
So as a kid growing up, I was always like creative. I was always drawing. I wanted to be a cartoonist. And that's how I ended up getting into drafting, because the recruiter for the college was like, hey, it's kind of like the same thing. Attention to detail, animation, drawing, kind of same thing. Not really. But I was glad that I was able to do the drafting to just get that kind of like mechanical skill. But I've always been a creative person growing up. So when I went to the recruiter, it was a female recruiter, 5'0", ball of fire. When I went to her, she was just like, all right, I got you open contract. You're going to be a Marine. You're going to ship out in like 2 weeks. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. And then I went home and I was like, Mom, I joined the Marine Corps. She's like, you did what? And this is like right after 9/11. So you imagine how my mom's acting. Like, you did what? Yeah. And I was just like, yeah, I got tired of going to college. And I was actually working at Taco Bell as a rapper, like literally wrapping up tacos.
Oh, wow.
Like literally, like, so it's kind of like ironic, right? So imagine
from a rapper to a rapper, Raymond. I love it.
So imagine, you know, people like yelling at you over a taco, and then they say you're overqualified in drafting and stuff like that. So I was excited to get out of there, get out of my city with all those just like, you know, people who weren't going anywhere. It didn't have ambition. So I just signed up for anything, and open contract is what I signed up for. And I didn't know what that meant until my mom told me. My mom knew because she was married to a Marine.
Right.
So she's like, open contract means they can make you anything. And after 9/11, you're pretty much going to be infantry and you're going to go to war. So what you need to do is, because you're creative and you want to do entertainment, you need to go tell her you want something in entertainment. Plus you have your degree, so you need a better job. So I go back to the lady. I go, hey, yeah, my mom says like I need to get a better job. Can I? And I'm a kid, right? Mom says I need to get a better job. Can I get something in entertainment? She's like, entertainment? She's like, come back in like, I think it was like a day or so. She's like, come back later. I come back and she's like, I got you public affairs, and I get out of my office. And so I didn't even know what public affairs was until I went to boot camp, right? I hadn't seen I hadn't seen the movie Full Metal Jacket at that time, so I didn't know the connection. If you've seen Full Metal Jacket, you know what I'm talking about. So I went to boot camp. My experience was exactly like Full Metal Jacket. So I go and I get yelled at, and I was like the Joker character, like always sarcastic and stuff like that, and I would always get in trouble. It was good because I needed to do push-ups because I needed to get some meat on my bones and stuff like that, and get some muscles on there. So I was always joking and stuff like that. And one time they found out that I actually rap because overnight you do this duty thing. You do a duty where you're like supposed to record everything in a book, and if anything happens throughout the night. So it's like, midnight to 4 a.m, you have a duty. And then so I had the duty like overnight. And so like I was bored and I was trying to stay awake because we had been up all day, and I was writing raps in this duty book. So one of the drill instructors comes out of their hut and like, let me see this book. What do you got there? And I'm just like, and he's like, are these raps? He's like, and I'm just like, yes, sir. He's like, okay, I got something for you in the morning. He closes the book, and then I go to sleep and I'm all nervous and stuff like that. He's like, oh, we got an entertainer here. He goes, rap recruit. So I got a nickname, rap recruit. He's like, rap recruit. I want you to rap right now. All right, now shut up. Now rap. Now shut up. And like I would always rap on command in boot camp and stuff like that. It's like, oh, no one. And then finally, like a little later on in boot camp, they explain like everybody else's jobs, and like, oh, well, we know why rap recruit was always doing entertainment stuff, because he's basically a reporter. Look at him. He's public affairs, and I know where you live and this and that. Imagine you're in boot camp just outside of your hometown. So he's saying all this stuff, and I'm just like freaking out. I'm like, how's he knowing this? But I didn't know he had my record at the time. So he's like, I know you're an entertainer. I know you're going to be a reporter and all of that. And so that's when I found out my job was actually in boot camp, and I was going to be like this reporter person, but I didn't know it was going to be a war reporter yet.
What does that mean, by the way? Tell me about that, because I don't really know what that means.
The public affairs or the war reporter part?
Yeah, so as a war reporter, I mean, is it what it sounds like? Are you like recording and documenting exactly what happens, or how does that work?
Found out. I didn't know at that time. I just thought it was a reporter. I thought it was public affairs reporter. I thought I was just going to be taking pictures and stuff. So I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, because public affairs that in the military, they have like an umbrella. So it's like public affairs, news correspondent. So we have jobs to where you can report just like you on TV. So there's TV reporters, right? And that's all you do. You stay there. You just go to Japan, you stay there, and you just report on everything that's going on. And then there is war correspondents who write, and they take pictures, and they're like attached to the infantry. So I found out which one was going to be my fate in reporter school. You have to learn how to write in AP style and stuff like that, and learn journalism and all that. So we're qualified to write in many different styles, whether it was MPA or AP style or whatever it was at the time. So I went to school, and so like I'm getting good grades and stuff, and I'm like, okay, cool. And when I was growing up, I was always made fun of because of the way I talk, because there's stupid stereotypes with race and stuff, and they're saying black men are supposed to talk a certain way. I enunciate my words too well, things like that. So I always got.
You sound like somebody that grew up in San Diego, quite frankly, like period. Right?
But I'm just saying, like, kids are mean.
I get it. Yeah.
They want to say stuff like that, and so like I was like, I didn't know what that meant, and my mom was just like, just don't worry about it. You'll thank me later when you get older. You will be somebody they'll be looking at to communicate something, because you will be talking like a grown person, and they will be talking like they don't know what they're talking about. But I didn't know that back then. You just want to be cool back then. Of
course, you want to fit in. I know.
Yeah, you always want to fit in. So I was teased all my life. So fast forward, when I'm in journalism school, after I finished the written portion, they say, hey, we're giving a couple of you guys an opportunity to be TV correspondents or radio correspondents. So of course I want to be a radio correspondent, because I'm like, I got the perfect voice for it. I've been teased teased, success is the best revenge. Yes, I can't wait to be a radio reporter.
That's true, by the way. Success is the best revenge. God, that's what an iconic phrase. I love it. I totally agree with you.
Because, so you don't stress yourself out, and you just achieve things and get accolades and just do it. So that's how I feel about it. I don't hold anything against anybody these days and stuff like that. So I'm just like, oh, I'll just be successful and they'll just have to watch me, So I'm back to when I was in school and I was trying to be a radio correspondent. We had to go through a test and we had to enunciate certain words. So they put me through this test. I nailed every word, except one that I found out, because they're like, hey, you failed it. And I'm like, I failed it? And they're like, yeah, you mispronounced a word. And I said, what was that? And they said, ask. I will never do that ever again. Because it was a sentence we had to read. And I said, like, let me ask you a question, like axe, like a swinging an axe, because I didn't ask like that. But that is
I bet you have never mispronounced ask ever again after that, right?
Again.
Yeah.
Because they said, okay, you're done with your training since you didn't make radio. Now you're going to go back to your superior and find out your assignment. And they're like, hey, young man, you're kind of like in shape, because I'm a cross country runner and sprinter and stuff. I did that throughout high school and throughout the military. Later on, that's what I would find out. But at that time, I was doing really good physical fitness test scores. And my superior was like, hey, you're in good shape. We're going to put you with a prestigious unit. We're going to put you with the 1st Marine Division. And I'm hearing this. I'm like, first? Of course I want to be first. I want to be the best, of course. And I find out that the 1st Marine Division is stationed at Camp Pendleton, California, in Oceanside, California. And 1st Marine Division means infantry. So my mom was right. I ended up still being attached.
Moms are always right. I just want to point that out for everybody. We're always right. Yeah. Always. Now that I'm a mom, I could say that with full confidence.
Yeah. Was it? I won't get into it, but I was gonna say something about like your history and stuff, about you baking cakes and stuff, but we'll get in that.
Oh, you know about this? Excuse me.
You did research on me, so I did research on you. But back to the story. So like they sent me with the grunts and stuff, and because I'm in shape and stuff, and they're like, "Yo, who wants to go to Iraq?" And I'm like, "Me, I don't want to stay in the office. I want to like." When you join the military, you want to go and do what you're supposed to do. Go see the world, travel, deploy. You want to just go do stuff. Like
get the experience.
It's like, you know what I mean? You want to, if a police officer, you want to be on the beat. If Marine, you want to be deployed. Correspondent, you want to be there telling those juicy stories and things like that, like yourself. Like that's the type of stuff that you want to do. So I was like, yeah, send me, please. And it was like some of the best times I've ever had in my life. Like 90% of it was the best times that I've ever had in my life, specifically because we got to do so much good over there. This is what the news won't tell you. We got to do so much good over there. There was kids out there that were less fortunate. We provided them with water and food and medical aid, and school books. That's a big deal over there. They don't get to learn a lot of stuff and a lot of education and things that kids take for granted here.
By the way, how excited were those kids to get the books? Honestly, I feel like, look, we all take everything for granted because we're so lucky ultimately to live in the United States of America, and so many people don't realize it. And how excited were they to get the books? Were they like through the roof?
Jumping up and down.
Yeah.
Just celebrating. I
mean, like, I wish that you could go around to like every high school, every middle school in the country and tell people in America, tell our children in America how lucky they are that they get to go to school every day. I know it, like, when you're in it, you don't understand it, but we're so lucky. They're so fortunate. And gosh, to know that those kids were just as excited to get a book that's incredible.
Yeah. And we also passed out, well, everybody else calls it football around the world, but soccer balls.
Yeah.
They say football. So we had,
why are we the only ones that call it soccer? Aren't we the only ones, the only country? I never will understand that.
It's the weirdest thing. Everybody else calls it football. They look at us weird. They're like, why don't you call that throw ball? You know what I mean? Why don't you call football throw ball and this football?
I know it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. But they loved it. They loved us. You could tell they got so excited when we came into town in convoys and stuff. So like, people don't understand, and they don't show that on the news. But that was most of what we did. We did a lot of humanitarian stuff. If there was a conflict, there was only a conflict because we got attacked first, because the rules of engagement was we couldn't shoot at anybody unless they shot at us first. So we were there to just, teach their Iraqi army or Afghan army and help out the kids. And also we had females out there too. They're called lionesses. They either pat down females when they're going through security points or help the females with whatever issue they may have. But imagine those women couldn't they couldn't learn, they couldn't speak, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't,
Oh my gosh, of course.
They get told to shut up, all that type of stuff. And it's just because they're under a certain law, especially you've seen.
They have no rights.
Mm-hmm.
They have no rights over there.
No rights. You've seen them recently under the Sharia law. They were throw them in whatever garb they want them in. They whip them and they tell them to shut up.
Yeah, it's horrible. So I want to ask you, Raymond, because you spent, obviously the time that you spent overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan was very, very formative for you. It obviously changed your life and gave you a view of things you never ultimately would have had. And having firsthand experience as a veteran, as somebody that served in the Marine Corps for 10 years, I don't even have to ask you how you felt about the United States exit from Afghanistan, because you wrote a song about it. And if people want to listen to this song, it's a great song. It's called Holy War II, TOO. But tell me about that song, because I asked you before we started filming this, but I didn't know you literally do it all. And I guess you were just so moved by the disaster that basically ensued upon our exit from Afghanistan that you wrote this song.
Yes. So it was weird. It was very surreal, because I felt like I had a calling at that point, because I felt like I was the only person who could speak on it, because I'm the Marine rapper. I have that big title, and I've been to Afghanistan, and I have a platform to where I can say whatever I want, and it could be easily digested through music. And I was like, I have to do something. I have to say something right now. And I felt numb. I felt like worthless, like liken it to kind of like Vietnam vets and stuff. When they came back, and I was just like, I have to do something. And I felt like, wow, like my brothers and my sisters died for no reason. Like, why? Like, so I was, there's a mixture of emotions. Like,
of course,
I'm getting caught up right now. I talk about in the song, I wanted to cry, I wanted to scream, I wanted to yell, I wanted to be angry, I wanted to break stuff. I wanted to, if you listen to the song, you'll hear all the emotions. It was basically everything at one time. And it's just like, what are we supposed to do now? Because we felt like we were making a difference over there. But because of a sloppy exit in Afghanistan that left 13 troops dead, now, you have Afghan veterans all across America feeling like they're worthless.
Well, and Raymond, I mean, it went back to exactly like it was before you guys were over there. I mean, the Taliban, a terrorist organization, is now in control of the entire country, which maybe it's even worse than before you were over there. The women are now, as you just referenced, under Sharia law. Again, they have zero rights. They are fully at the whim and discretion of, again, a terrorist organization, and they can do with them whatever they want. And then obviously, we have the 13 dead American soldiers, but more than that, I mean, you probably had an experience like so many veterans who served over in Afghanistan with the people that were our allies over there, the people that helped America, who we basically just left high and dry. I mean, for them, the Taliban knows who they are seeking them out, and they are eliminating them basically one by one. Did you have experiences with people over in Afghanistan like that? Did you like Afghans who were helping America?
Like there's like, obviously I don't agree, like, we should just have like an open border and allow like every Afghan there, but there were some of the bravest human beings that just happened to be from Afghanistan that stood with us. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them.
Wow.
Like they knew.
It's a lot. Listen, you witnessed things that so many of us are fortunate not to have witnessed, and you had to go through things so that, we remain a free country. I'll say on behalf of everybody, thank you for your service to America. Thank you for your service really around the world, because what you were able to do for people the time that you were over there in Afghanistan and Iraq, I mean, it's it changed their lives for sure. And this is what you're experiencing, I think, is a part of what so many, at least friends and family of mine who served like you did over there, have felt, which is that they can't believe that the United States of America would just desert people in this way. And yeah, of course, we're not suggesting like just let everybody who wants to come here in, but you do have an ultimate responsibility. If we make a promise as America that we're going to stand behind you because you stood with us, we should do that. And you're saying these were some of the bravest people you ever met.
Because they know they went into the situation to be our interpreter for, so we can maneuver through the city, knowing that not only they could get killed, but their whole entire family.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's one thing for us to raise our hand and say, we want to fight and defend the Constitution and stuff like that. Against enemies, foreign and domestic, and just go over there and serve and stuff like that. But they have a bigger stake, and they're just like, I know the Taliban or another terrorist organization could come kill me and my whole family, but yet I'm going to take this risk because this might give me my freedom to get out of this crazy place. Wow. So I feel like there's some of those heroes over there that deserve that freedom, and they didn't deserve the desertion. They didn't.
Absolutely.
You saw the pictures, the horrific you saw the horrific pictures and images and video of the Afghans clinging onto the plane.
Oh, heartbreaking.
Like it's trying to get in the door. Like
that shows you how desperate these people were to escape that situation, right? I mean, they knew that that's not going to work out, but they're willing to try anything because they know that the ultimate consequence of staying there because they helped our country is death for them anyway. I mean,
they're going to get killed anyway. So
exactly.
That's like for people who didn't see the character, because they didn't deploy, people didn't see the character of those individuals because they didn't deploy and get to work closely like I did with the interpreters and go on patrols for 14 hours a day and work with the people, hand out, footballs to the kids and little snacks and treats and bottles of water, like simple things of clean water. For people who didn't get to see those individuals, character that serve with us on a daily basis, that was a snapshot of their character. Like that's how dedicated and committed they were to getting out that country and providing for their family and trying to get that little taste of freedom. Like they would rather take the chance of clinging on a plane and falling and dying than ever stay under that Taliban rule. That's how bad it is. Wow. Just imagine that if you're that desperate. Like exactly. A lot of people can't even fathom that because we're so blessed here in the United States. But imagine if we were in that situation, if the tables were turned. That's how desperate they were. So I'm emotional because they had all of that to put on the line. Then they risked their life for a complete stranger like me to get me back.
Yeah.
To my family. Mm-hmm. How beautiful and how unselfish that is.
Right.
So I'm happy and I'm sad at the same time. It's just a mixture of emotions because they were some heroes. That's all I have to say.
It's so true. Well, look, obviously, if people want to get a full sense of how you felt about the whole thing, they can look up your song, Holy War II again. I listened to it on Spotify, but I'm sure people have many different ways to listen to it. I feel like what you're doing, though, Raymond, is in a way you're keeping veterans and people currently serving really in the forefront of people's minds, more than just as soldiers with the music that you create. Was that part of, was that a goal when you started all this, or did that just come with it as you're just, writing all these amazing songs?
So I've been making music for 10 years. But then I started to take it more seriously as a career and a business after I went to school, because I actually got a chance to talk to Ice-T. Ice-T is actually an Army veteran. And Ice-T was like, hey, like being a rapper is cool, but if you want to have longevity, become a producer. So I went to school to learn the behind the scenes. So I'm able to make a song, engineer it, shoot my own video, edit my own video, and post it, as well as leverage social media and the monetization on social media to where now I have my own career because I learned that. But it wasn't something that I was just like, oh yeah, I'm just going to make money off of veteran issues. It wasn't like that. It's because it's me. Like I only can stay in my lane and talk about things that I know about. And another thing that Ice-T told me, he told me, if you make music and when you make music, talk about what you know and stay in your lane, because that way no one can take it away from you and you'll never run out of subject matter because it's you and you're just explaining what you're going through and your feelings. So when it came to making a song like Holy War II, it came natural. And like I said earlier, it was like a calling. It was like God was like, he came down, he's like, hey, you have to say something. You're a vessel. You have to say something. You're the person to say it. And that's why it went viral, because I was able to encapsulate all the feelings of not only Afghanistan veterans, but all veterans around the world, because I had Vietnam veterans coming up to me and giving me hugs and things like that. It's crazy. Like I'll go out on the street, and a Vietnam veteran, they'll be wearing their hat too, and then we won't say nothing. We'll just go like this, and he'll hug me, and it's just like, and I know what that means. Like, what it means. When you see a like individual like you, and basically he's saying, it's okay, man. I feel you. We got treated the same way too. I know you guys got the short end of the stick with the Afghanistan thing, but it's going to be all right. You guys do matter. So it was a calling, and I knew it was something that I had to do. It was necessary, and it wasn't just for me. It was for every veteran that ever served.
So you're now a record label producer. What is you are a rapper, you have a record label, right? And I think it's only for military musicians. Is that correct?
Yeah, so my record label is called Military Musician. So it's basically a platform. And so the platform is Military Musician. The actual record label is called Ninja Punch Music, but it's for military musicians. I named it the platform Military Musician because I wanted to be very simple, keep it simple, military. We have a saying, it's called Keep It Simple, KSS. And so that's what I did. And I noticed that it's kind of crazy. A lot of people don't know this, but I'm actually influenced by country music and rock music. I listen to hip hop because I do it, but country music is what made me want to open up a record label and help other individuals start their journeys. And I'll tell you why. I was on patrol, right? And when you're on patrol and one of the troops, whether it's a soldier or a Marine, they have the aux cable. One person has it. So whatever they're playing, you're listening to it. So that day it was Johnny Cash, and it was like, I fell into a burning ring of fire. And I was like, oh my gosh, over and over. But you're on a patrol for like hours and hours and hours. And you're like, wait a minute, Johnny is killing it right now. I actually like country now,
Kind of catchy. Like, kind of like this.
I like it. And you could hear the pain in his voice. And I was like, wow, I kind of like country. And I started listening to these other country songs, and I started to hear them talk about military veterans. And I was like, hey, wait, is he a veteran? And they're like, yeah, no. I was like, okay, wait, is this person a veteran? They're like, no, they're just talking about a veteran. I was like, who? And I was like, I started to go on a quest, like, who is a veteran talking about veteran issues? I want to know it. Who's doing it? And then I realized not many people were. There's only a couple. They might bring it up here and there, but it's Ice-T, Shaggy, MC Hammer, and me.
MC Hammer's a veteran?
Yeah, Navy, yeah.
Get out of here. Look at this.
And
I'm learning so much.
He follows me on Twitter. It's weird. Like
that's so cool.
So
I'm a little jealous, I'll be honest.
Yeah, and then was it Montel Williams is a Marine too. So I just became really obsessive on like who's a veteran and who's not. And then so that was the early inklings of like my record label. I was like, okay, cool. There's not that many people. And then I realized, okay, cool. I'm having a couple of hits. I had a hit a couple years ago, and it was called Star Spangled Banner, and Apple Music showcased it because they're like, people wanted, when I was in school, people wanted to know, why am I so patriotic as a Black man? And it sounds ridiculous, but people bring it up all the time because I'm wearing my American flag jacket and they're looking at me and they're just like, why are you wearing that flag jacket, this and that? And I tell people all the time, I'm like, if you've been overseas, you would be kissing the ground. Like you have no idea. They don't have running water in some places. Yes, I love America. And they're like, well, why don't you talk about it? And I was like, I'll put it in a song. So that's Star Spangled Banger, which is basically a twist on Star Spangled Banner, but with a rock and rap twist. And then Apple Music made it big. But I was just like, you know what? that's not good enough, because the Marine Corps always taught me you always strive for more and more. And you've been around Marines, so it's always like they have to do better and better.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? Not everybody's gonna like hip hop. I need to find. I was like Tony Stark. I was like looking for other Avengers. Like I was like, I need to find a country veteran. I need to find a rock veteran. And so like when I was going out throughout school, I was like collecting these people, getting their contacts. They're like, hey man, keep in touch. I was like, no, I really will. And then so like I was like collecting these people who were doing these different things in different genres and stuff. And then there was a program. It's a nonprofit that was started by a Navy veteran. It's called Bunker Labs. And what it does is provides opportunities for veterans and their spouses to create businesses. And I was like, I'm a rapper, but what business can I have? And I was like, oh, I need to look at people like Puff Daddy and Dr. Dre. They got labels. And I was like, but it's a military label, and I'll call it military musician. So I applied for it and I got it. And what it does, it's an incubator 6-month program where they allow you to use their office for 6 months for free for anything. But it's like a blank slate. So some people didn't do well, but I did, because at night I would turn it into a studio. So I was like, so I would bring my studio equipment in there and invite people to like record and things like that. And I was just like, it is what you make it, because like I'm influenced by like movies like Field of Dreams, like if you build it, they will come type of thing. Yeah. So I started building up tracks, and then we did a compilation album series called Sounds Like Freedom, with so many different genres on there: country, jazz, guitar, instrumental, hip hop, singer-songwriter, and the rest is history with the label. After I started going viral, it kind of like helped everybody else out, and now I'm literally currently on the Billboard charts right now for my song "I Left My Home." It's it's on 3 different charts right now, even the pop charts. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, you obviously have an amazing work ethic. You pretty clearly had something instilled in you, I assume, by your parents to create the drive that you have. But look, even after serving, you talked about struggling with depression, struggling with homelessness. But you basically have always had this no victim mentality. How did you manage to like keep that, and how did you manage to keep going when I feel like, so many other people just say, well, it's I can't do this, let me throw in the towel? Was it because of your parents?
It was absolutely because of my parents. So my mom's like 5'0", but fireball, usually that's like the trend. Like if you're like a smaller lady, like usually they're just like a ball of fire. And I'm
a tall lady, but I'm all right. I can straighten my kids out. So don't. You're
5'11", right?
Something I am. Like you really did your homework on me. I love that.
Yeah, I'm a reporter. But yeah, my mom, it was beautiful, because she always explained, even if we're in a situation, it was temporary. You're not a product of your environment. So we fell on hard times, and so she had to be on welfare, but she used it as a stepping stone. She was like, hey, we may need a little assistance from the government, but we're going to use it as a stepping stone. So she's a mother of 5 kids. Imagine this. So wow. She's saying, hey, we're going to use this thing as a stepping stone. We're going to, when you're old enough, you're going to get jobs and work and go to college and things like that. So like early years, we were on assistance. And then as soon as we're able to work and stuff, we got jobs and things like that and go to school. And there was times where we didn't have lights in the house. And she was like, all right, we're going to bust out some candles and do some homework. You're still doing homework. Like, so I mean, like, that's the type of, it's like non-victim, no excuse type of person. Yeah. That's what I was raised with, a person who never gave up regardless of the different odds and things like that. And now, I'm a billboard artist. My sister, she does metal fabrication like Rosie the Riveter. My brother's a doctor. My other brother is a personal trainer, a life coach, and a chef. And my other brother's a student as well, as he has a job too. So like, we come from the same place. We all had the same upbringing, but it was because of my mom who actually instilled this never give up, don't be lazy, always have ambition. If somebody else is jumping off a bridge, don't jump off a bridge, go build and make a bridge, go design a bridge or something, do something greater. And imagine we're literally in the dark doing homework, and she's, whispering in our ear, you're a king, you're a queen. Imagine that type of positive talk.
So amazing.
And I was like, oh, wow. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, so like when I go about like my life now, I have big aspirations because my mom told me I'm way up here, and it's not in a cocky way, it's in a confident way. It's like, yo, we're supposed to create and make a difference while we're here on earth. We shouldn't just lounge around and be lazy. And there's no excuses. I mean, just because you have a bad hand, hey, what, it's like, okay, I got a bad hand, but what cards do I have? What can I work with? You know,
Right.
Instead of what I don't have, okay, I can work with this, and then leverage that, invest, get a return, and then invest again, and do things like that. So she taught us everything. It, like, down to like little things, like I would ask my mom, and she kind of like made me a rapper, which is kind of crazy. I'd ask my mom a word, and I was the only one doing this out of the siblings. I was like, ask my mom a word. I was like, Mom, what does this word mean? She's like, look it up. And I'm like, huh? She's like, yeah, look it up. I was like, you can just tell me though, Mom. She's like, no, go look it up. And I go look it up in the dictionary. Mom, what does this mean? Word? What is this? Mom, what does this word mean? She's all, look it up. Mom, what's another word for this? She's all looking the she's all looking at the, I can't even say it. Looking
Thesaurus.
That's a scope, thesaurus, right? I'm not perfect, but she also told me to be brave. It's okay to make mistakes, and then you know, the success is going to be greater. So I still can't say it. Look in the thesaurus. Thesaurus.
You got it.
Yeah, you have to break it up sometimes. Thesaurus. There we go. Look in the thesaurus. But yes, we'll do stuff like that. So that's what made us great.
I think it's so interesting, and I feel like your story is such a great example for what a threat the victim mentality is to the future of America, to our youth, because there are so many in this country today that are being told that they are victims, that they cannot succeed because of many variables that basically are out of their control. You are an example, and your siblings are an example of the fact that that doesn't matter, that it doesn't matter what hand you're dealt, as you just kind of said. You have the ability in this country to work hard and achieve anything you want. But do you worry about really how people are basically being told that they're victims all across America? Do you think that this is going to be detrimental to our future?
Absolutely. I don't like that negative talk and negative speak. Even my daughter, like the same thing. I have a daughter, and I told her the same thing, and she's a genius. But
how old is she?
She's 15.
Oh,
so
wow.
Ironically, she is an animator. She does animation.
Oh my gosh.
She does manga. And she's just like a little genius. My little anecdote, my grandma asked her what 1 and 1 was, and she said 11 or 2.
Oh, excuse me.
So she's using both sides of her brain at once, like running on all cylinders. And I'm like,
wow.
Okay. And then so I was like, literally, I'm like, yeah, I expect you to get straight A's all the time because you can school anybody. Like, I just know the level you're at. She's on that like Hidden Figures, like NASA like level.
Wow.
So I'm just like, wow, and we decided to not bump her up because we want her to like to develop and stuff and just like live her life and not try to not really like rush through it and stuff. But she's super smart. But the non-victim mentality is what I instill in my daughter, and that's what I talk about in my music. Holy War I talks about the non-victim mentality. Because I go, sorry, I'm not sorry. Mama taught me to not be a victim. Like in Holy War I. So if you check it out, Holy War II is called Holy War II. I said 200 because now in other countries in it, but it's a connection to Holy War I, which talks about not being a victim. But yeah, the victim mentality narrative that's getting spread in America is a huge threat because it is increasing the dependability of people on like the government and assistance, and not to be creative and not to grind and not to be ambitious and not to hustle. And so what that's doing is it's making people complacent, it's making people lazy, and also making people blame other people for mistakes that they make.
Right.
That's another thing. My mom's like, yo, like this person can do something to you, but you know you're great. So just let that just let all that stuff roll off your back and just keep it moving, because you already know you're on a trajectory of greatness. Why would you let anybody stop you from being great? So
true.
Why would you do that? Why would you ever let anybody stop you from that? And so that is the type of narrative my mom pushed to me. So I always try to push a narrative like that to other people and say, hey, listen, I understand that you're in the hood. I understand that you grew up with poverty. Me too. But that doesn't mean you have to stay there. You don't have to stay there.
Right.
You can grow out of it.
Especially in a country like ours, as I just said, I just, you are never going to find another place that gives you the opportunities that you have in America and the ability for your upward trajectory ultimately. And you can start wherever you start. Some people start high, some people start low, some people start in between, but it's an open-ended, ability to rise in this country and to become whatever you want. And I love that is a message that you are pushing, that you're teaching your daughter. I think it's so important because I think you're right. I think ultimately the victimization of so many in America and this push to tell people that they are victims and that there's really no hope. You're right. I mean, people don't appreciate the way you feel after a hard day's work, after, doing something and earning it and working hard for it. Well, there's no point to do it because you're not going to get ahead anyway. You're going to be reliant on the government, and that's what they ultimately want. So I love that you're spreading that message. Before we go, I do want to ask, I mean, how can people keep up with you? Where can they find you? And do you have anything coming up? Are you like performing anywhere? Where can we see you?
Well, performances have been halted because of this
pandemic. Course.
Yeah, but we did a recent performance 2 months ago in Florida. We were able to perform.
I was going to say, I'm in Florida. Come to Florida because we are open here and it's happening down here. So let us know if you make it back down.
I'll bring the whole crew. You'll get VIP tickets and everything.
Oh, I love it.
Definitely. We actually did a concert called the Freedom Fest 2 months ago, and it was all artists that believe in freedom of speech, and we were able to get together and have a good time and have a whole bunch of camaraderie, and there wasn't any drama or anything, and everybody went home excited, with their merch and their CDs and things like that, and we had a good time, and I feel like that's what America really looks like. But I feel like the media is trying to push a different narrative. But I was like, I see everybody coming together. It was like MLK's dream in that concert, and I was like, wow, this is beautiful. Yeah, shows to come. But if you want to see exactly when that show is going to happen, all you have to do is log on to themarinerapper.com or follow me on every social network at The Marine Rapper. I keep it simple. So as long as you remember The Marine Rapper on all social networks, they'll be good. I respond to people. I talk to people. I also do a thing where I go live every day at 10 a.m. PST for suicide prevention. Because of the lockdown pandemic, there has been a spike in veteran suicides because they're alone.
I know, so sad.
So I felt like I needed to use my platform and actually provide a sounding board if they want to talk to me, or advice, or maybe there's been people that got on there and was like, hey, I really want to do something and I really want to have ambition. I just don't know what, because I was a grunt. So like, what am I going to do? It's either security or something else, right? So it's like, what can I do? And I was like, what do you like to do? They're like, oh yeah, well, I like to make, wood things. I was like, oh, start your own woodworking business. And then they went and they did their own woodworking business. So I may give somebody an idea and stuff like that. So
you're just helping people out, Raymond. This is so great. I love, where is that? Is that on Instagram?
Yeah, it's on Instagram every day at 10 a.m. PST on my Instagram live. Because if Instagram breaks down like it did the other day, or Facebook breaks down, I also have a TikTok. TikTok also allows you to go live. So contingency plan, if one of my social network things go down because of their systems, just check the other one. But I usually chime in at 10 a.m. PST daily to talk about suicide prevention or anything anybody wants to talk about. I've had people get on there and talk about baking. This lady, she actually makes edible crayons. If you know the Marine joke that we eat crayons, so she makes edible crayons that you can color with and stuff like that. So
I thought that was just my kids that were eating crayons. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. Well, the Marines are eating crayons too. Little did I know.
So they're made out of chocolate, and then they're wrapped in edible paper, and then she also has edible glue. So it's a fun thing. It's all ages type of thing, and I was able to partner with her, and we have edible crayons now. But yeah, it doesn't matter who you are or what you do. I invite anybody to come on and just talk with me and share a joke or laugh or cry or scream or whatever they want to do. I just want them to I just want them to know that they're not alone and that there's somebody there for them every single day in the morning.
Gosh, I mean, and it's such a great thing to do. So thank you for doing that. I think that's really great. You have, I mean, I feel like you've just started your career. I feel like you have a record label. You have so much going on. You're helping people out every morning, inspiring people. So keep up the great work. Raymond Lott, you can find him again, the Marine Rapper, on all social media platforms. I want to say thank you again for your service to our country. Thank you for inspiring people, and keep it up, because I think you're doing some very, very important work, and somebody up above is certainly giving you the messages to bring down here, and I think it's really, really important. So thank you for joining us right here on The Right View, and to everybody at home, as always, thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here next time for more.
Thank you.